and welcome. Today we're going to look at an affordable pedals and building an affordable pedal board. So this might be your first ever pedal board experience. What I've got here is a selection of pedals that are dirt cheap. You can change them out for better pedals or more expensive pedals as you go, and you can build yourself a rig that is fundamentally upgradable and great to work with. Let's get into it. So when it comes to building your pedal board, there's going to be some considerations that you're going to need to make. Firstly, your signal chain, what kind of pedals go where and what kind of budget you're going to spend on each one. This affordable board here has a built-in power supply, great stuff there, and it's got enough milliamps to power the pedals that we want. So that's a consideration you need to make. Most drive pedals don't use a lot of power at all, but when you start having things with screens on or things that do a lot of processing, that's really important. Everything's going to go into a clean amp. The clean amp is going to be my pedal platform. When people say pedal platform, all they mean is an amp that has a great clean sound and sounds good when you start using gain pedals with it. Thanks for watching so far. I'm hoping you're enjoying the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Let's just start. The affordable pedal board, this is it. It's a very, very affordable. These are around £20 on the market. And here it is. Rockhouse it's called. Okay, it's made of plastic, but it looks like it's made of metal, but it's made of plastic. It's very lightweight, which is good. And it actually has this built-in power supply that runs off a USB. That can be good because you could plug it into a power bank technically. You could also just plug it into like a little phone charger sort of plug, which is great because they're ubiquitous, they're everywhere. You're gonna need some patch cables. You've got different kinds. These ones have an angle, these are quite good. They're your basic kind of patch cables. It's good to have some at different lengths. And then I like these ones myself. So these have a really quite a flat end here, but they take up very minimal space on your board when you're building it. So let's just start with our signal chain. So the first thing I would think about using here is my wah-wah. So one of my favourite budget wah options is the Vox V845. It is a classic Vox wah. These are Chinese built and they are quite lightweight as well. Very different to my Dunlop in terms of how it kind of feels, but it looks very similar. It's got a vintage kind of look, vintage vibe. These sound awesome. So again, that would fit straight there. What I would look at is getting some Velcro on the bottom of it. And sometimes if you don't have enough room for your wah on your effects board, I always just carry it in the case and then just keep it off the board, and then you've got more room for other pedals. That's another thing that you can do. So looking at this wah, it's going to need some power. So I would probably run a power to it. So I'm going to run some power to that wah here. That's the first thing in my signal chain. Once you've got your wah, you might want to think about other stuff. So I'm going to have here some modulation. I've got a tuner. Some people don't bother with tuners, and that's cool. I think on stage I always want a tuner. With the budget pedals have I got here, I'm starting to build a little pile of them. So my signal here is going to be wah wah. I'm going to go into my tuner from the wah wah. This cable here has been made using the cable kit, where you just cut them to size, you push them in and you screw them together. You can get those off Amazon. I'll put a link in. Input, output. The benefit of a tuner as well is you can mute your signal. So you could, while you're on stage, you can mute it and it will just stop any noises. I know you can turn your volume down as well. Next, we're going to put on some drive pedals. So I'm going to have this. This is a Klon. Klon is an overdrive pedal, okay? We have overdrives and we have distortions, but I like an overdrive. Next, I might have something like a distortion. So distortion can be used differently to an overdrive. I'm going to show you some tricks in a minute as well. So the distortion need it kind of accessible really. I'm going to keep that cable there. I personally have 2 drives at least on my board that can do different jobs. So this is a distortion that can clean up all right, to be fair. Then I'll have a reverb and then a delay. So reverb here. This is going to need some power, and then this will be my delay. So this is the basic, a very basic signal chain here. You can see what's going where. So that's going, you can see my ins and outs. I'm missing one thing, so I'll include something in here in a second, but I'll just show you the basics then. So I've got my filtering effect first, okay? So this filters frequencies, it basically changes the EQ curve. So if you had a wire or an envelope filter, I'd have that first. Then I've got into my tuner. It doesn't really matter which order, but because the way this board's built, I've put it on here first. I'm going into my drives next because they're changing the gain structure. And then I'm going into a reverb pedal and then into my delay last. You can mess with these, you can mix them up, but that's generally how it goes. What you don't want to do, a few things that don't tend to work very well. I mean, there's no real rules, but you know, these are things that I've learned, is if you put your reverb then your distortion, your reverb gets distorted and it sounds pretty awful. The trails sound pretty awful. Same with your delay, but you can mess around with that. There are exceptions to that rule. So that would be a basic setup. Just one more thing. I'm going to put in a flanger here. Now a flanger is a different kind of category. So you've got modulation effects. Okay. So those are things that modulate your signal, basically. Okay. So we can see here the whole setup of this board. All right. Yep, we got it. We've got the board. So what I'm going to do now is just rearrange a few little bits here because I think we need to. So I'm going to have my in fact, I'm going to show you something cool. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this one out here. And I'm going to use this for a slightly different purpose to what you might use one for. So I'm going to go into this as my overdrive gain pedal, okay? And from there, I'm going to output into the modulation. So I've got a tuner, I've then got a modulation, then got a drive pedal, modulation. There we go. And then I'm going to go down here. I'm just going to plug this one in. There is method in the madness here about the Klon. So I'm going to plug, just get a slightly longer lead. I'm going to plug the Klon in before my reverb and delay. Okay. Maybe that should be a longer one. Yeah, so the cool thing with all this is you can sort of play with it before you stick it all down. That's why Velcro is so good for building pedal boards. Okay. Needs a little bit more space. There we go. Right, so this is going to be used as a boost. So the Klon will actually boost the signal for solos, but it will be used predominantly as a overdrive boost. So there we have it. I've got my budget board here. So I've got about 7 pedals, including the tuner. I've got the flexibility with this rig to use for most things, most gigs. And let's try it out. Let's get some tones off it. This, I've got a PRS hollow body SE model. It's a nice guitar. Forgot to power up the unit, so let's plug it in. Ooh, look at that. Suddenly we've got some sound. Right, there's my guitar. Let's have a quick tune up. So I'm going to use my tuner. This tuner's alright. It's by a brand called Rowin. Easy to see, bypasses when you need it to, it's fine. Let's have a little look at the wah, a little look. So that's cool, isn't it? So, first things first, bit of gain. That sounds absolutely awful. Let me just. All right, so that's that. Cool thing with that pedal is That's an overdrive. If you really turn the distortion down, you can get more distortion. So you've got that. Other pedals that would do a really good job are one of these. This is an Ibanez Tube Screamer Mini, £45 used. Really cheap pedal, really good pedal. Really known for the mid hump. Some people are famous for hating it as well. This would fit on the board. Out of the Tantrum and the Tube Screamer, I'd be using the Tube Screamer. If you just want to hear it for a second, I would sooner have an overdrive like this that's gives you a mid hump but is flexible. Alright, so turn that down, treble up. It's a bit softer because of the mids. It kind of fattens out the sound. So you could use. There's quite a few options. My favourite kind of overdrive pedals personally are the blues breaker style. And they, because they're quite transparent, you just get more of the guitar sound, which is what we want really. And this has a little bit of that. It's got a good EQ, this does. But it does let in some of that electronic interference. Next in the pedal chain, we've got this. This is cool, this pedal. It's a flanger. But you might need a modulation. This is quite flexible. That's quite cool. So you could interchange that with a different modulation as well. So you could get chorus pedals. I recently reviewed this. I don't really like this pedal very much, but it's, again, it's one of those pedals that needs turning right up for unity gain. I don't think it sounds great, but it could be useful to someone. Sounds a bit like a Mvave, but not quite. This is going to be used as a boost. So here's the normal signal. So if I'm doing a solo, quite a clean boost that is. A little bit of mid-range. And it works like a treat if you've got your distortion. That boosts it great, and I could even use it as an overdrive if I wanted to. But I've put it after the modulation because if you've got a song where you're doing it is picking up any hums and things in this room. It is picking it up, which isn't great. This is a cheap setup. My personal rig won't do that because I'm using proper isolated transformers and proper power supplies. You simply can't get them at a low price point. So, it's life. I've got some big lights on in here that, unfortunately, as a result of using cheap transformers and stuff, that's going to happen. Next is the reverb. Normally I'd have this on all the time. This reverb's quite fun. It's got some crazy parameters. I mean, I like plate reverb. I like a little halo around my sound. I don't like too much. There you go. And then let's put some delay on. So there we have it. I've done separate reviews on these things, but the delay is great. The reverb is great. I've got these two main things. I'd leave the reverb on all the time, but then I'd incorporate all these other things to make that sound. So if you are in a situation where you want to build a pedal board but you don't know where to start, remember, just start with thinking about what drive sounds you want, what modulations you might want, and my basic essential pedals would be, for me it's a wah, because I'm always using wah on my songs that I'm playing on. Not in a Kirk Hammett kind of way, by the way, so, you know, on rhythm parts. A good drive pedal or a boost, something like this Klon copy is absolutely great. A good reverb and a good delay. If I literally all I had was if all I had was like £100, I would have used one of these, used one of these, and used ones of these. Any less, and I really had to sort of make some sacrifices, I'll probably just go out with these three. I could get most things done with that. This also will give me a chorus sound if I need to. I could turn my delay down. At this point, I'd also like to ask for you to subscribe. We're nearly at 1,000 subscriptions, and when we do, we'll do a little prize draw for a Mossy Zen Drive pedal. So there we have it, a budget pedal board that you'll be able to use, go out with and upgrade really easily for not a lot of money. Think about your signal chain, think about your pedals that you like and that you want, and enjoy. Have fun with it. Let me know in the comments if you've tried any of this out, and let me know your thoughts on some of these pedals. Thanks for watching.